Everyone, and welcome to Soul Talk with Sonia. So today we are continuing in what to look for in a godly husband. So this is part two. So I'm going to give you some more questions to ask. If we don't ask questions, we don't get answers. So these are questions to ask your potential suitor, your potential boo. All right, so one of the things you want to look for are the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace. Is he loving? Is he a kind person? Does he practice self control? That's very important because if he can't control himself, that's going to affect you, right? And so you want to make sure that he can control himself. So, gluttony. Is he an overeater? That can affect you in the long run because he can develop health issues. So is he willing to eat healthy? Does he recognize that, man, I overeat? These little things you all can add up. That goes along with, does he change jobs often? In other words, can he keep a job? Is he submitted on his job? If he talks about always having issues with his supervisor, man, I told him this, I told him where to go, I told him he can do this job, that means he's unsubmitted. And if he will not submit to a supervisor, he will not submit to God. So how is he going to lead you? If he is unsubmitted and he's not obedient, and remember, submission has to do with your attitude. So if he's, talking badly about his supervisor, he's not having the right attitude, which means he's probably not obedient. So it's submission and obedience, right? Okay. So does he have self control, which is one of the fruits of the Spirit? Is he kind? Is he loving? Someone that doesn't have self control may be in a position where they can't control their finances, can put you in debt, cannot control themselves. We're talking about, right, masturbation, pornography, that can lead to other issues that can affect you in the bedroom, right? Because with addiction, what happens is, I'm not an addiction counselor, but I've taken an addiction class and I have to, get continuing education on addiction. So I'm not an addiction expert by no means. But what I do know, I'm only going to tell y'all what I do know, not what I don't know. When someone lacks self control, when someone is struggling with addiction, they may start with one thing, one drug, weed, and the brain is saying that's not good enough. That's no longer giving us a high. And then they go to something else. So if someone you're interested in lacks self control, they may start with one thing. It can be food, and then they go to something else, and then it can be gambling, right? And so you want to make sure that this person has self control. Can they control themselves? Okay, I do suggest attending premarital counseling because that helps you with things that you may not have talked about with your spouse. Maybe some questions you haven't asked. Have y'all talked about finances? Have y'all talked about disciplining the kids? So, which leads me to my next bullet point. Is he open to counseling? So, if he won't go to premarital counseling, red flag. If he goes to premarital counseling, great. But also asking, hey, babe, in the future, would you be open to us going to counseling? You don't have to go to counseling because you have a problem. You can just go to tune up things that are already good in your marriage. So, for example, if you and your beau have really good communication skills, you can go to marriage counseling to make sure that there are no gaps to get the communication even better. So, tune ups are great for counseling. Okay, so bullet point 3. Well, I'm not going to count because I don't know the number. Criticism. Is he open to constructive criticism? Now, as women, we can be very critical, right? So I'm not talking about you criticize him all the time and then he gets to a breaking point. I'm talking about when you give him constructive criticism every now and then. Is he open to that? Or does that lead to anger, which is my next point? Have you seen him get angry? Is this a problem? Like, have you seen him punch the wall? If so, that's a problem. That's a red flag. Because anger can lead to him beating you, beating the kids, in turn traumatizing the kids, traumatizing you. Does he have anger issues? Okay. So that question is, how does he handle the problems? That's something you can ask him. How does he handle conflict? You need to know that. Hopefully you get a chance to see that, but you may not during your courtship. But it would be great to see if the opportunity rises. How does he handle conflict? You can ask him about, hey, on your job, how do you handle conflict, right? Okay. Introspect. Also ask yourself these questions as well. Am I kind? In other words, what would two of your closest friends say about you? How would they describe you? Because you also want to make sure that you have the fruit of the Spirit, that you're loving, that you're kind, that you have self control. Can you handle criticism? What have people said about that? So, for example, on your job, if you're employed by someone and you have the yellow reviews, how do you handle criticism by your boss? How do you handle feedback? Okay. Are you open to premarital counseling? Have you gone to counseling? Are you open to going to counseling in the near future? Sometimes people are prideful, and when problems come up in their marriage, they don't want to go because the devil gets in their ear, shame, embarrassment. Are you open to it? Are you open to it when things are going good? That's also a good opportunity to go to counseling. Do you have anger issues? Now, a couple of videos back, we talked about emotions as women. We're emotional beings. There's nothing wrong with that. But your emotions in check, are they to a point where they're unhealthy? Are you quick to anger? What have people said about you and how you interact with other people? That's why I said it's good to take your potential beau to group settings to see how he interacts in group settings. But then, how do you interact in group settings as well? Self reflection is so important, being self aware, meaning knowing things about you, being aware about things about you, because you're your greatest asset. And so you don't want to be in denial about the challenges that you have. You want to be open and honest with yourself, right? So, enemy, if you take that word enemy, you break it down, inner me. Sometimes you can be your own worst enemy. So, it's asking God to reveal to you things about you that you need to work on. Why? Because we all have blind spots. And so you want to make sure when you say, God, I'm ready, that you ask God, God, am I really ready? Or is that I just think that I'm ready? Self evaluating, asking yourself the hard questions. Have I healed from past relationships? Have I healed from this trauma? Have I forgiven? One of the requests that I asked God to help me with was, before I got married, help me to be quick to forgive. Because when you get married, you're going to need to forgive a lot. Because you're living with another human being. And you have your ways of doing things, your background, your history, and he has his, and you all are going to clash. It's not if you're going to clash, it's when you're going to clash. And he's going to rub you the wrong way, you're going to rub him the wrong way. You need to be quick to forgive, especially the little bitty stuff, the simple stuff. You need to just let stuff go. And so I just encourage you to be open to work on you. You're your greatest asset. And these are just a few questions to not only ask, not only to ask, but observe. So last video we talked about listening, just being intent in your listening when he's talking, looking at behaviors, actions, things that you see, and asking the right questions. You want to do a lot of observing, right, to make sure that no stone goes unturned. We all have blind spots. You're not going to see everything, but you also want to ask God to show you what you need to see about Him. So thank you so much for tuning in to Soul Talk with Sonia, and I'll see you next time.